All right. Welcome back to the Exo18 Leadership Podcast. Thank you for joining us here on episode number 4.
Yeah, season 1.
Season 1.
The inaugural
episode
season.
4. The inaugural
season, episode 4.
I feel like, does that deserve like a, I don't know, like a break the champagne bottle on like the inaugural cruise or
that
something?
That sounds good,
you know?
Kelly. That's good.
Right? I don't know. Is that okay in,
sure.
in culture?
You know, I mean, with the white walls, I don't know how that will be, you know, but you know, we can give it a try,
Touché.
you know, absolutely.
Is there any other celebratory things to do in an inaugural something? I don't know. I like it though. I like it. The inaugural.
The inaugural.
Well, what we can do is ask our listeners to send us some suggestions.
I like that.
Yeah.
Totally.
Big fan of that. I like that. Yeah. Inaugural season, episode 4. We hope you guys have enjoyed our first few episodes as you've gotten to learn about Exo18, about the leadership team that we've assembled. And hopefully you've gotten some great nuggets and some encouragement and some hope. And, you know, we really want to create a space to talk about, you know, challenging things in leadership, whether that's leading a kingdom business or a church or a nonprofit, you know, where, hey, things can get hard, right? Mm-hmm. And we really want to, you know, install longevity into people and create a space for hope and encouragement and to really dissect some of these hard things. So I think collectively we've established that we've got what's a kind way to say decades upon decades decades
right.
of
young,
experience.
Very young.
Very youthful.
Miraculously, we have decades of experience, but we're not, we're not decades old.
Exactly. There you go. Exactly. It is a miracle.
It's
That's
a miracle.
What it is. It is a miracle. But we do have some great things to keep chatting about today. And I know, Ed, this topic was one that was kind of really, I don't know, dear to your heart, or really you've kind of felt the weight of it, as we're going to talk about today, when mission and culture don't align.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this.
Man, you know, I have been looking forward to talking about this because, you know, as we're engaged with numerous churches, and we've been working, you know, over the last couple of years with, you know, various organizations, key leaders, and even high profile leaders. One of the things that we have noticed that seems to be more and more a common denominator with churches that aren't growing, they can't identify it, but, you know, for us coming just real quick from the outside in to just, you know, we call it a flyover. We're just going to do a, you know, one day flyover. One of the biggest challenges that we're seeing is that culture does not align with mission. Mm. Meaning they have a culture that says one thing, but then their mission statement says something completely different. And, you know, I think a good place, and when we talk about culture, there's a lot of different things that, you know, there's numerous definitions, right? There's a lot of definitions for what culture is and how to define it. And some of those things. So Sam Chan says it this way. He says that culture is the why and the what of what you do. All right, let me say it
like
again.
that.
It's the why and the what of what you do. So you can have a why and a what of what you're doing in your church that does not align, that does not connect with what your mission is. Let me give you a good example. So we worked with a church not long ago. This is about 6 months ago. And this was a church that part of their mission was, we love our city. We love our city, right? Sounds great. It sounds grandiose. This is our mission. Rah, rah, let's all rally together. We love our city. But their culture said something completely different. And so internally, there was a breakdown. And so they felt stunted in their growth. They're coming out of, you know, the last couple of years and the challenges associated with that and all of that. And they were saying to me, Ed, what's happening? Why aren't we growing? And I'm thinking to myself, well, you have a mission statement that says we love our city, but then everything that you're doing says, I don't love my city.
Oh, wow. Ouch.
Yeah. But, and I don't, and it's not that harsh. You know, I probably said a whole lot harsher, but in essence, that's, you know, their actions, the the why and the what of what they were doing was saying that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was no
they weren't intentionally reaching out.
There was nothing that they were doing
in the city
on a program basis.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing that they were doing in ministries or any, you know, outreach, missions, any of those kind of things that say we love our city. Mm-hmm. What it said more is, you know, we love our little church that we have.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and so as a result, they're like, we can't figure this out. We can't figure. And so, and that's just one example. And in fairness, I was very vague in my description and even altered some of the terminology and all that I used so that this could not be to protect everybody involved. So nobody would be able to say, hey, wait, you're talking about this. No.
Right.
We value confidentiality with everybody that we work with. So, it was a broad example of something that we've dealt with, you know, in a particular area. But yeah, it's and I even go back to my own life and ministry and pastoring, and I can look back and really see that the times that I felt most frustrated, now, you know, it's a little bit easier to see, but it was when, you know, our culture just wasn't. Our culture wasn't talking the same language as what our mission was.
Right.
You know, it just
you're kind of saying actions.
Yeah, our actions
weren't aligned with mission statement.
Our actions and our attitude. Mm-hmm. Our actions and our attitude of what was happening on a staff level, because that, you know, that just really permeated throughout the church as well. And you know what I learned is that momentum. When you have momentum, it covers a lot of that. As long as you have momentum. You
mean covers it up?
It covers it up.
Okay.
Right.
Wow.
And and I would say you start losing momentum when the two start.
When there's a rub.
When there's a rub. When there's conflict between the two, that starts bringing like, okay, something's not right. But as long as you have momentum, and even, you know, Craig Rochelle, I mean, he wrote the amazing book, you know, a while back called It. When you have it, you have it. Sometimes you don't know you have it,
right?
You know, and you're trying to always figure out what it is, but it is that culture. And I know he recently just came out with a new book that's called Lead Like It Matters, Lead Like It Matters. Okay. That's a revised version. Wow. And, you know, I would encourage, you know, those that are listening to pick up that book and check it out. But yeah, when the culture begins to disconnect from mission, you've got problems. Mm-hmm. You've got problems, and a lot of times you have no clue it's even happening.
Mm-hmm. Oh. In the beginning, it can be subtle.
Yeah, it's really subtle, and even when it's full blown out there, you know, you get so invested and dig in, and you're digging into your ideas, your thoughts, your programs, all the things that are happening. You can't see it. And every pastor that I'm talking to right now knows what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Even ministry leaders that I'm talking to, they know what I'm talking about. That you get so wrapped up in what's happening that you forget sometimes the mission of it, and it just creates conflict.
Mm-hmm. And you know what I think is interesting is it also can create somewhat of a disconnect. And I think how that trickles to your team is with their effectiveness. And I also have noticed, and I'd like Kelly and Ed, you to talk about that a minute, team effectiveness and how that would be impacted. But then I also want to throw another thing out there is that I've been in settings where I've realized I feel a lack of authenticity, and I'm like, I know in their hearts they're authentic. So, you know what I mean? Like authentically, their mission statement is authentic, and it's an authentic expression of who they are, where they want to go, who they want to be. But there seems to be a subtle, how do you say that word, Ed? Not inauthentic. Oh my goodness. Well, Kelly,
I don't know.
You don't know. Well, I do create words
not
sometimes.
Authentic.
I mean, inauthentic.
How about
inauthentic?
How about not authentic?
Yes, a lack of authenticity. And I think that attenders can sense that, but they can't put their finger on it. So
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, I think, Chrissy, to pick up on what you're talking about with when culture and when culture and mission don't align, and that lack of effectiveness, and you can see growing discontent and frustration amongst team members, right? When they feel that, when there's when the alignment isn't there, there is, I hate to say, like a grumbling almost of that lack of clarity. And for the most part, I'm like, when leaders will create a clear target, the team that they've surrounded themselves, they want nothing more than to hit that target. But when the target is unclear,
right, or
it feels like you're heading in a direction that doesn't align with what you've communicated,
or a moving target.
Yeah, or a moving target, or one that you have to decipher, right? You've got to try to uncover and figure out, can be really frustrating. And then then again, you get the grumbling and the rumbling, and again, I think everybody just wants to be effective. They want to move the ball down the field, and that can really thwart team cohesion, team progress. I had another thought and I lost it.
Well, when you were saying that, I thought one of the breakdowns too. Here's a good way to know. As you're listening, do we have a problem with our mission and our culture being in conflict? A good way to tell is if you have ministries that are siloed.
That's a good one.
Oh,
if you I've worked in those type of churches and been in those places before and seen that and experienced that this is our stuff, this is mine, don't touch it, my budget paid for it, don't
and
don't
institutions.
anybody
right.
And I mean that's a good indicator that culturally or missionally something is broken between the two, unless your mission is just self-centered. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
Right.
Like our mission is we're going to just hang on to all the stuff. We're all in alignment together.
Right.
But silos are a good example. I mean, silos will tell you.
Or a symptom.
Yeah. It's a symptom that something is broken, that something's not right in it. And I think I don't think it comes out of bad intention.
No. Yeah.
It doesn't come from It evolves. It goes back to what we talked about in our last episode, organizational drift, a little bit that we had fun with. But, it goes back to that. It's not an intentional thing, but once it happens, it's hard to recognize and it's hard to remedy.
That's true.
And so just another little plug for Exo18. That's one of the things that we do. We come in and in a pretty quick, because of just our decades of experience and, every church size imaginable and multi-site, experience and all those different things, that we're able to quickly assess, and even through the tools that we use and some of the exercises, be able to identify, but not just identify it, but then help bring it back into alignment
and create strategy.
Yeah, exactly. Help create strategy to kind of repair and at least begin to kind of mend those two and connect to those two things back together.
Yeah. Well, I think what's so important about that, Ed, is that I think we all speak strategy. We love strategy. And I know that we've encountered a lot of leaders that embrace strategy. But, the old adage that says that culture eats strategy for breakfast. Yeah. If you are frustrated because you cannot execute your strategy, there's a good chance that culture is the thing that's holding you back.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, you can have the best of intentions, a well laid out plan, but if your culture is not in alignment with the things that you've established to get you there, you're going to be frustrated.
And sounds like an oxymoron, but a good strategic plan will help you identify the cultural problems that you have. Well, let me rephrase that. How about, let me just say, that we have a product. No, but a good strategic plan and a good strategist will be able to draw that content out.
I would say not even just a strategic process. And I think that's really what we do. It's the process. It's the drawing out. We can put together 100 strategic plans, right? Without, I think that's just what's so valuable about having a third party, an outside third party come in, an objective third party come in that doesn't, that has some
isn't
insight.
Emotionally attached.
Yeah. There are no sacred cows when somebody comes in and they're able to, again, to facilitate and draw out some of those things that maybe you yourself can't see, because it's really easy to get in the weeds in your own organization and you've got blinders on, and a lot of just organizational dynamics, those things don't surface on their own until there's a pain point,
right.
And you're willing to, to try something different and bring somebody in that can help facilitate your team through that, and draw out some of those problem points that need to be addressed.
So listeners right now, maybe they're recognizing, we do have some silos. Maybe there is some pockets of some pushback in our culture. So what can they do? What can they do about it? What would you say are some action steps?
Oh, this is the good part of this.
This is it.
Are you ready?
Yes.
We may have to leave everybody hanging a little bit.
Ed is going to dangle a carrot.
I'm just
right
going to
now.
dangle it, but we'll release, a blog associated with this in the next couple of days that will deal with some of the application on how to bring alignment with culture and mission. So be looking out on social media for how to go about doing that. And it'll be a quick read. We love doing things that are simple, but I will say this: there has to be an evaluation process.
100%.
And I would even say before an evaluation process, you can't put your head in the sand.
Yeah.
I think the first step really is saying, okay, it is what it is. Now we need an evaluation.
Yeah. Yeah, well, just the honesty. You'll have to look at your organization through a very open, honest, and transparent lens to be able to really allow it to speak and tell you. Because if you do that, it'll tell you. You'll be able to see and sense, where some of the breakdown is.
Right.
And all right, you ready? You're going to have to be ready. Okay, every pastor listening to me right now. You're going to have to be ready, because some of the breakdown may be with you.
Oh,
right.
It may be with something that you're doing.
Ouch.
Or not doing,
or need to change. What do we do? We call it, stop, start, refine.
Right.
And so if there's an openness and a willingness, and anyway, I don't want to get ahead of myself on the blog, but
I think that's such a key. That's such a key point, Ed. And
everybody gets there. I mean, we're human, and leaders are under a tremendous amount of pressure, and the pressure leaders are under now in this culture. I know we're talking about culture, but American culture. So it's just inevitable. It's going to happen.
Right. Well, and I think, and if you're not there, if I were to maybe push the envelope just a little bit, if you're not there, you may not be growing, because you should be getting to a point where you are uncomfortable and you don't know what to do, where it is stretching your leadership, right? And you should be getting to a point where you're like, oh, I need some help. Either I need some training, I need some mentorship, I need somebody else to come in, I need some coaching. If you are really willing to go there and to stretch and to grow and to keep your organization growing. But it takes a level of humility. And I think what you just said, Ed, is so important, is when you are at that point, and we have found the most effectiveness when people are willing to invite us in, and they've gotten to the point where they either say, man, we've grown so big, I don't know what to do next, or man, we're experiencing some things that I don't know how to handle, or whatever that may be. There's that level of humility that says, okay, I always say, I think the most effective prayer is, like, Jesus, help. Right? Like, help. And so that point of having the humility to say, help.
And I want to say too that we recognize that when a leader reaches that point and they know that they need to bring somebody in for that evaluation and for help, we understand how vulnerable they are putting themselves in a vulnerable position. And we recognize that, and we are not coming in to at all judge.
Right.
We're very judgment free. We've all been there. We've all been there. So we're coming in to just be a support system and put our arms around the leader and hear their heart and then help support them in moving forward.
I was on the phone with a really close friend yesterday who pastors an amazing church, and we're actually in a few weeks going to have him on as a guest on our podcast. And so we're working out the plans to bring him in for that and everything. But, we were talking and he was asking me some questions. Hey, Ed, I'm dealing with this. I'm dealing with that. How do I handle this? When he gets here, then I'll be able to say, hey, we were just talking about you, but I don't want to say his name now. Right. But and the one thing that I admire and love most about him, like I said, pastors a mega church, multi-site, all of that. And the thing that I love the most about him is he's always saying, how do I do this? Like what? Like I don't
he's
know
asking
this.
questions.
I'm stuck here. And great leaders tend to do that. They really do. They tend to do that. Man, my mission is not aligning with my culture. We have some toxins here in the organizations. We have some things that are broken in a particular department that are impacting, and it's cascading down into a lot of other areas. How do I fix that? How do I communicate? Who do I talk to? Who do I fire? Who do I hire? Who do I, and it's the thing that I admire the most. It really is. And guys that lead out of that type of a leadership, you just see great fruit in their ministry and their life and even in the churches that they pastor. So, well, I know that we're going to be talking about the application of this in our blog that we're going to be releasing. And so please be sure to look out for that on social media. And Exo18 on Facebook, Exo18 Strategy on Instagram. We're on all the platforms for our podcast and all that. So please be sure to look for that. And also, we would love to connect with you. We'd love to connect with you. If you say, hey, we'd love to have a conversation with one of you guys or, with somebody from your team, go to our website, exo18.com, EXO18.com. And check it out. We have an amazing team of strategists that would love to be able to connect with you, share any thoughts or insights and anything that we can do to help serve you, help your ministry, organization, church, or you as a leader grow. We would love to help you move from where you are to where you want to be. And we look forward to connecting with you on our next episode, season 1, episode 5, coming next week. But any final words, Kelly, Christy?
No, I love the conversation of the humility of asking for help and the transparency and the vulnerability involved in that.
And how heroic it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. And I think, you hear the old adage that, leadership is lonely, but I'm like, does it have to be?
Right.
Right. I think that's what we're hoping to do is create a safe space for some of those hard conversations for leaders to connect.
Yeah. Awesome.
Ditto.
Well, Ditto. Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to connecting with you next week. And God bless you. We hope you have an amazing, amazing week. Check us out again, exo18.com or on social media, Exo18 Strategy, Instagram, Exo18 on Facebook. Have a good day.